Hi guys, today we are in a 2015 Volkswagen Golf. We're going to show you how to replace this radio. This is a radio people said couldn't be replaced, but we're going to show you how to do it. So 2015 Golf and GTI, and also Sport Wagon, the Golf Sport Wagon. And then also 16, and it's going to be the same thing, and 17 it's probably going to be the same thing. Cars haven't come out yet. All right, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to come down here, this climate control. You're gonna pull it out. So just open up the pocket, just stick your hands down here one side at a time. Pops right out, and you do the other side. And then once you do that, this other one just pretty much comes right out. You just gotta pull forward. See, it has a couple clips. All right. The bottom's the hard one because it has the metal clips. Up top here is no big deal. All right, guys. So now we have the. We're gonna take the rest of it out. This is Enfig panel tool set. It's a PPT-1, which is a bone tool. PPT-2, which is, it's actually meant to scrape, but you know, I use it to pry sometimes. 3 is the wedge, is a pry tool, where you know, you use it to pry. And then 4 is actually, it's a different pry tool. You're supposed to put it here, and then it pushes against whatever you have. So if I was going to do here, I go like that, but I'm not doing it against this because I don't want to scratch that. And then 5 is just a bigger pry tool. We're going to use 4 right now, and we're just going to use it to pull. It's a little tight in there, so what you're going to do is you're going to just pull like that, and then it comes right out. At that point, you're good over here. These come out easy. We're gonna stick the bone tool PPT-1 in here, and then pries right out. Okay. Once you get it out, the hazards just disconnects. The airbag switch, you're going to pull that down. Okay, and then you're gonna push that in, and it comes right out. Now, once you disconnect this, if you turn on the car, you're going to trip your airbag light. So if you don't trust yourself, just put a piece of tape around the key. Or if you guys that have the push to start, you might just put a piece of red tape or something, I guess, or leave the key inside, you know. All right, guys, now that we're here, we have to take this and separate it from here. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to pull on this, and then this is going to separate from here. So these are 3 separate pieces. This trim and the air vents together are 3 separate pieces. So as you pull, it's not going to look pretty, but you'll see. All right, so we're going to go over here, use the pry tool to pry. You see how it's separated? That's not a problem. See, you got more separation. Now let's go over here. All right. All right. Do one at a time. Oh, don't do what I just did right there, because you'll break the vent if you try to do this. That's good. I just did that because I caught it and I stopped. So once I get up here, I think what I'm gonna do, you know what, let's try the puller one again. Here you go. That's perfect. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm using this to pull, which actually I've taken this radio out. That's the first time I thought about that. Also, just when you pull, be careful you don't just yank like I just did too far, because if you do, you can break the trim. Actually, we have it out that far. Let's use the pry tool again. There you go. There you go. Oh, there you go. And there you go. All right, so now we got a couple more over here. So now we got it this far. These you can pretty much pull out, okay? So here's what happens. All right, so you got all these clips, okay? So they all come out. Don't worry about it. Some of these may separate like this just because when they release, they release. But even if you break 1 or 2, it'll still go back in perfect. I've done, this is probably like my 8th or 10th radio install. So it's just the way you have to do it. All right, so here's why we have to do it this way. If you look here, 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 and here, there is going to be plastic clips holding this back. So this was all designed to go in. A lot of the Mark 7 is designed to be put in at the factory and go, and they don't worry about taking it apart. So if you look over here, I don't know if you can see that because it's black, but there's a little piece you can push up. You push that piece up, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You might have to use a hook tool. Alright, maybe the top goes first. Let me just double check. It's the same hook on all 4 sides. It's a great design for someone who's going to say, well, who's ever going to have to take this out? But as far as designs go, it's not the best. There you go. So I got that out. You know, here I'm showing you the way this actually works, because I could easily shot an edit video and be like, look, it just comes right out. But no, I want to, when something's difficult, I like showing it, because that way it gives you some truth to the video. You know, I don't want to see, I hate when I see videos and people already have it all disconnected and they're like, yeah, you just do this, this, and this. And I'm like, that's a lot harder than that looks. All right, so I got that wedged in there. I got that wedge. All right, good. So here, as you see, this is just a metal clip. So what happens is when it drops below the ledge, this metal clip locks into place. So pretty much all you got to do is get 1, 2, 3, 4 out. And then these two are the biggest pain. As you can see, these have a little wider, where these kind of behave a little bit better. All right, so once you get that out, there's that, and that's it. All right, guys, now that we got the vents out, I'm gonna show you how to pull out the radio. Whoever designed this radio, I want to applaud, because they went back to an old school feel with keys. I mean, you could easily done this with bolts, but it goes back to Volkswagen roots. All right, so these are RRK4 radio removal keys, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to put each key with the notch facing towards the center. So this one goes in here. See? Goes in here. Boo, boo, boo. That goes in there. And this goes in here. All right? So once you do that, you just pull out. You're supposed to kind of like, no, these are actually designed better than anything else. I forgot. So once you get them out, you just got to push in here to release. Okay, see how that has teeth? Let me show you real quick. See the teeth? So when you put the key in, it grabs the key, boom, and you're good. All right, so let me just do this real quick. I'm not going to show you all 4, because even though this radio's coming out, I don't want to damage anything. Okay, now back here, wow, look at this. This is only a display. Your radio's actually in the glove box. So we're going to squeeze here. Okay, and then this one has a little tab on the top. This one's a little harder because sometimes the tab doesn't grab, so you got to make sure you push it all the way in. And also don't do what I just did and pull from here, because you might break the cable. Always grab from connector and wiggle. Okay, so that's it. This is your radio, at least you thought it was. This is actually a remote control. We'll show you how to pull out the radio next. All right, guys, little did you know, that's your radio. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna put a little bit of trunk liner so we don't scratch things up. Same radio removal keys we used to take out the faceplate. Always give them a little bit of a bend upwards, so notch facing towards the center. All right, same thing on this one, give it a little bit of a bend. It helps them grab. All right, and you do a little outward pressure and then pull. All right, and then the same way we did before, push in on the, whoops, push in on the bracket on the side, and then the key comes out. Okay. So now, pull out on that. And here it is. Let me adjust the camera so we can show you a better angle of what we're doing here. All right, guys, now to give you a little bit better view. So what we did, we plugged the quad lock back in, just to show you. So we plugged it back. Well, you can't flip the radio with it plugged in. So what we did is that we flipped the radio and then we plugged it back in to show you. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna squeeze, like we showed before, pull out, and like I said, this one's crazy. Oh no, look, you see, it came out easy the second time. Okay, and then over here, this is your AM/FM. Squeeze. You're gonna pull that back, and then you're gonna squeeze, and it comes right out. Both of these are AM and FM. All right. This is your Sirius XM. So you're gonna pull that up and wiggle it out. Okay. This one right here, like I said, I think one of them is the. One of them goes to the monitor, and then the other one I'm not 100% sure, but by the time this video's up, we'll probably have the full pin out. All right, so that's that. And then the same thing for the other one. And then this is the GPS antenna. I'm not 100% sure why, even if the car doesn't come with GPS, the GPS antenna is plugged in, but it is. So all you do is pull out here. See, that's locked, so pull out here. And then squeeze and pull out. And then that's how the radio comes out. This is a fiber optic port that's not used in this car. I think that's actually, this is the same module pretty much. It's an A3. So I think they just build it. And it might be used in the future, but right now it's not. Okay, that's it. Put that aside. And now we're going to come back and we'll show you how to cut the dash open. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this piece off, okay? So don't cut too close to here, because as you can see, it's a whole part of the dashboard. So, you know, try to cut like, we're not going past this. So I'm going to try to use a razor blade. Here's the thing. I use this with an air saw, but most people don't have an air saw. So I'm trying to keep this as friendly as possible for the do-it-yourself at home. So we're going to try with a razor blade here. All right, so that went in dope. All right, it's a brand new razor blade. You might want to hold it with two hands so it doesn't. Pry tool. Anyone who has an air saw at home is laughing right now, like, why wouldn't you use an air saw? That's a hard plastic back there, huh? All right, we're definitely doing the other side with an air saw. Just letting everybody know right now. All right, so just to show you it's possible with a razor blade, but let's go get the air saw. All right, guys, we're back with the air saw. This isn't a name brand one. We don't use an air saw that much here, but now that we're doing the Mark 7s, we're gonna, you know, I'm sure this one's gonna break eventually. But anyway, so we're gonna cut the other side. All right, so just make sure you hold it tight. All right, before you do that, always check, make sure there's no cables back there, because you never know. And make sure you only cut through this and not the other side. All right, just oiled it up so a little oil came out, so that's that. All right, guys, next part is you're gonna grab a marker. You don't have to grab a marker, but I find it easier to follow. And you're gonna draw, this is a Sharpie metallic, it's a bronze. So you can mark up, so we're gonna cut all that there. And then this, you don't have to cut straight, but pretty much, you know, I just cut it off to the end to make sure it's straight. And then over here, you kind of have to cut all that away. So pretty much you got to get rid of this clip. And then over here, I always cut straight here. All right, and then just cut straight back and get rid of that little thing. It makes a little bit of a difference when you go to, the problem is that obviously there's no room here for a radio. So you have to cut it all off. And then this one, we cut, where does this cut go? If I remember, you always got to cut this over here somewhere and then bring it down. All right, and then this all gets cut, and pretty much you're going to cut this all the way back, and then yeah, that's it, because the radio pretty much is going to slide into here, but you got to cut to the edges. Sometimes in the past I've tried not to cut straight to the end, and then it was a problem. All right, there's a cable here. Obviously you can see it, so get rid of that. And there's also cables back here. So before you cut anything, put your hand and make sure there's no cables so you don't cut them, okay? Now I'm gonna try, I bought this saw for, you know, just to have one. So So there you go. You don't have to buy an expensive, well, that wasn't nice. You don't have to buy an expensive saw. And actually this is, I didn't notice this when I bought it, but this is a high-speed steel blade. So I'm not sure if there's a better blade to deal with plastic. But yeah, I'm cutting this with the air saw. We'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back with the air saw. So first thing I'm gonna do is cut over here. If you notice, there's cables here. So I'm gonna make this first cut, then move the cables. Alright, that's done. So now this cable here is just a metal clip. It's a metal clip covered in plastic. It's a little bit of a pain to get out. Probably use a screwdriver instead of panel tool because you're going to ruin the panel tool. Luckily I have over 100 of these in stock, so I'm not worried. But even though I'm not worried, mine has still not come out. Let's try this one. Flathead it is. Alright guys, I went and got my flathead. So pretty much you just gotta pry it out. It's got teeth that bite, so that's why. See? Little teeth, and when you go in, it's pretty nice design. Alright, so we're gonna push this off to the right. Now you check, because you see this cable? There's like a sea of cables back here, so make sure, actually pull this down and bring it up the front so you don't make a stupid mistake. Because we're done here, so now we're gonna continue over here. There you go. So now we're going to watch this cable. Alright, so now put your fingers back here, make sure the cable isn't there. Be very careful with this cut here, because this cable can easily come up. Okay, so if you see there's a cable back here that's in my hands right now, that cable, you have to be very careful that's out of the way before you cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck it down. And I see where it's at. I'm going to cut here and stop here. What's happening is that I don't want the blade to go all the way in because who knows what's back there, so I'm using the very edge. Now that we're there, I'm going to come over here and make sure this cable is completely out of the way. Actually, what did I do last time? Oh, you're going to cut this. Okay, I remember now. This cable is dangerously in the way here, so I'm going to make a clean cut that goes here, and then once I get everything out, then I'll finish it. So, watch. So I'm just going to do a sideways cut here. Triple check there's no cable there. You see the cable just shifted. Oh, you know what? I'm lying. I just remembered. The cable is actually sat. How do I show this? Let me cut this side off and I'll come back and I'll show you over here. There's almost nothing over here. But always check just in case. I'm going to give my compressor time to load and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so I'm going to make this cut first. This is an easy cut. There's really nothing behind it. So we'll always double check because you know you might have a model that has more options or they may change something. So always check. Alright, so it's not what I expected, but it's okay. Alright, so if you look back here, now that we cut everything off, you will see this harness. You see it? It is sitting there. Can you zoom in on that? See that clip that holds it in? Let me try to point at it. This right here see it? Oh, you can't see because my finger's in the way. Got it? Mm-hmm. So this holds in the harness. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the panel tool and you're going to unclip that before you finish the cut, because this clip puts the harness directly in your way. And even though you can easily, I was gonna say, even though you can easily cut around it, why risk it? You know what? Let me get a metal tool. That's what's actually that's for. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So I went back and just got, you know, a metal. The metal ones are made to remove clips. The plastic ones are made to remove panels. That's why they're panel popper tools. So just go in like that, twist it, and it comes right off. All right. So once that comes right off, now this harness you can bring up here and it's no longer in the way at all. All right, just make sure, you know, might be a good idea to tape it to something so that way it doesn't go in the way. All right, now that we got that wire out of the way, like I said, you could have done it here, but the way I did it, breaking it apart piece by piece, you actually you leave you safe, because right now there's nothing back here. The closest wire is all the way back here. So I mean, you can still get it, but I mean, it's a little harder. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna use, how are we doing this? I'm gonna cut half of it and I'm gonna break it off because it's a tight cut. Actually looks like it's cut straight. Yeah, no, I'm not. All right, so now we start from the back. Actually, I think we can, yeah, we can definitely get away with it. Just one side, the wire's far enough. There you go. All right, so, oh, still got to get off that little end in case it hits the radio. Let me just get in the way of the camera because it's easier. Alright, good. See, the problem with shooting videos is that you can't be in there where the way you usually do it. You have to kind of be a little further away. So, a little piece that fell in there, I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna grab a file and file off all these rough edges. Actually, if you look at this right here, you can still see it, so let me cut off the edge of that real quick. Alright, so that's it for the cut. Let me vacuum it up and do some filing. Alright guys, now, when we do this install, we usually take out the center console because the glove box drops easy. 1, 2, I think 5, and there's one in the back. But then over here, the glove box goes into here. So you can't get the glove box out without taking out the entire center console just because someone thought it was a great idea to tuck it into here. Trust me, I've tried various different cars. But I just had a thought. I'm like, the reason that the harness comes out here, then there's a bar over here, then there's another hole over here, and then you can reach that hole through there through a tiny opening. Probably about this big. The problem is that you can't, this is too big of a connector. But what if we make it smaller? What if we take this blue connector out? Okay, there's a little tab right there. Then take out the green one. Didn't have enough meat on the green one. Alright. That's out. We take out this white one too. That has a little tab on the bottom. All right. And these are speaker leads over here. What if we do that? Oopsie. Oh, the screen. You also have to tab this over here on the brown one. So it's held in by two different things. This is one, and then the one on the top too. But we still got the quad lock. What if we unpin this and take the pins out? Then we can just grab the wires and run them through. Listen, we're going to disconnect the battery. Do not try to run these without disconnecting the battery, because you can really damage something real bad. So let me run and disconnect the battery, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so now we're back. So this is the two wires we got left. This is a special pin removal tool. You can buy them out there. You bought it as a whole set. I'll see if I can find, maybe sell them. All right, so what we're gonna do is gonna put this in here. And what you do is you kind of wiggle, because what we're trying to do is release two pins. Oops. All right, so that one came out. Let's try the other one. So what it is that if you look at this connector, there's locking tabs on each side. So what you got to do is that this thing squeezes them in, and you kind of got to wiggle. Let's try this one. See, that one grabbed them right away, and that one came out nice and smooth. So now we have that. Okay. All right, guys, just real quick before you do all this, remember which one goes where. You can always come back and look at the video, but if you put them in backwards, you're going to explode your radio, so be very sure of that. All right, number two, remember that clip we had up here that was a pain to get out, that was over here in dead center? There's another one back here holding this harness. So before we continue, you have to get it out. I've already gotten it out. I can't show it to you because it's pretty much right here, so I can't show it to you, but know it's back there. Know you got to get it out before you continue. All right, so let's get going again. All right, guys, so we're gonna try something I never tried before, and this is take number one. So you know, sometimes we'll do something or reshoot it, but this is actually take number one. So this is a grabby tool. There's a hole that goes right over here. It's pretty close, and it goes right here, and then there's a, like I said, there's a hole over here. So what I'm gonna try to do right now is try to grab this harness with the grabby tool, because the harness comes from here. Let's see what happens. This is take number one. All right, so you can see it right here. I feel it. It comes right out. All right, if you see, I squeeze my hand, and this goes over here. So let's try to grab the thinnest one of the bunch, which is the power cable, with the grabby tool. Remember, battery's been disconnected for you guys that like to fast forward. Let's see what happens. Oh, snap. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna grab this and help it over. It's a pretty big harness. Like I said, I'm not really, I have the connectors here. You don't want to pull too hard because you want to rip the connectors off. Oh my gosh. Look at that. I'm telling you right now, this is first take. I'm not lying. Let's see if everything else goes through. Oh, the other one's going to take some. No, not really. All right, so pretty much what I have right now, right here, I have the two power wires, power and ground. Red is constant, ground. This right here, if you can, look. Victory is ours. The sad part is, by me revealing this, I cannot longer charge 4 hours labor for this install. But I'm sure, I mean, we're still, whatever, that doesn't matter. You know, because before we had to cut, take the center console out, drop the glove box. Now that I just discovered this little trick, we're good. Let me see if the, oh wow, that's amazing. I love, I'm so excited I can't even find the hole. It's over here. Yeah, so see that whole cell. Let me see if I can get the antenna over too. Because I know this is GPS. Oh no. Okay, so GPS and satellite radio, you have to run the extension over. AM/FM's already here. Just to be sure, the red one goes in the corner. I'm going by memory. All right, and then the brown one goes next to it. Everything else in there, you can't mix up the connectors. So, actually, I'm going to put them all in. See, green goes here, but if you try to plug in green here, it won't go. If you try to plug in green here, it won't go. So that's green. That's red. I mean, red. It's blue. I'm so excited. I don't even know colors anymore. I'm excited, honestly, because that means that this install just got to a point where most of you can do it at home. You know, there's no way everyone's going to cut up their dashboard, but it just took it to a completely different level. A bunch of numbers down on a scale from 1 to 10 of how hard this is. So there we go. All right, now I wasn't expecting to be here this quickly. Let me go get the radio and the parts, and we'll be right back. All right, guys. Now that we ran all these cables over here, I'm going to show you real quick. I know not all of you get GPS radios, but I'm going to show you the GPS antenna adapters. This is a GA3 blue. So what this does is that blue stands for the connector, because the different colors of connectors tell you different things. So we always make sure it matches. There are universal ones, but we like that it matches. There's also, this one is a GA3. This connector over here is what's used by Alpine, Kenwood, JVC, and I think that's it. Alpine, Kenwood, and JVC. And then there's a GA2 blue. The 2 stands for the Pioneer end. This is what Pioneer is currently using. We also have GA1 blue if you have a prehistoric radio. I haven't seen that in like 12 years, 15 years, but we have it. So that plugs into there, and this plugs into the back of your radio, and this uses your factory GPS antenna. We also have the new one, which they made a mistake on the initial production run. So if you're going to use it in this car, let us know. So this is the reason I said let us know, because as you can tell, this is a lot shorter than our regular one. What happened is there was a confusion between inches and millimeters when we ordered, so they made them too short for our specs. So we're going to sell out of these, and then we'll actually, we have both in stock. Well, not in stock. This one's on the way, but it's already been ordered. So we have the longer one, because this is a tight reach to here. All right, so what we're going to do now is let's use the Pioneer one, because Pioneer is the most popular one. So just like we ran the rest of the cables. Oop, too high. It's going to be hit or miss, but once you guys find the hole, it's really easy to nail every time. All right, so we're going to grab over here and grab that. And now this plugs into your Pioneer GPS radio, and you're using the antenna that's on the roof that's GPS. Every sport wagon, so we did a full install on a base sport wagon, also did a bunch of GTIs, and this is my first Golf. Actually, I've done the Golf sport wagon, but never a regular 4-door Golf. They all have had the GPS antenna, so you know, you guys got lucky. We'll be right back, and let me show you the Sirius antenna. Alright guys, so this is the Sirius antenna connection. This is our regular Volkswagen Sirius antenna adapter. This is the SAA SIR20 green. So it's always been a green connector. They just switched it to this brown one. I gotta make sure it's called brown. So it'll probably be an SIR 30 brown. But anyway, we also have a different antenna adapter we use just for shops. Because shops aren't going to inventory, so this is a universal one that has no markings. Because shops, you know, they're not going to make a mistake as to where they plug things in. The reason we color code everything is because we want to make sure when you plug it in, you know where it's going. Okay, so eventually we'll have one that's proper, but for now, if you're, you know, you can use the universal one. All right, so just like we did the other one. Now there's a twofold on this one. On this one, you can do a the tuner can stay here, and you can extend the cable to the back, or you can take the the antenna extended to here, depending on what radio. When you start doing the full double DIN radios, it gets a little tight back there. So you might need the room. All right. Like I know we did a Kenwood radio, one of those top of the line ones, and we actually had to put the radio out maybe like a centimeter higher, more out, because it wouldn't fit back there. But that's the only one we've had problems with. All right, so I'm gonna put that back there. And I do this just to let you guys know that there's plenty of room for stuff. Because like I said, like I was telling Mike, who shoots all the videos, check out Pixel Motive Media, by the way. They got a lot of great videos, you know, all types of stuff. So I was telling Mike, I was like, you know, I like doing just one shoot and showing people that it's done. And I don't like not like if I had to do something complicated and it was hard to show you how to do it, I don't want to do it, because then I leave you blind at home. I need to make sure that when you watch this video, you can see it. All right, so this takes care of getting the car ready to accept the radio. Now, let's go get that radio. All right, guys, so just want to talk about this hole over here. So there's a couple things we have. You can always put the radio back in and leave it in there. We have this blank plate, so pretty much it just pops in. All right. This is a new one. I think it's been thrown around for years. So you can do that. There's also these are cheap versions of what they call Mark IV Volkswagen pockets. So what it is that they have all the stuff, so what you can do is you can shave it all off, okay? And then now this has a nice little lip if you want to keep something there. I recommend getting like a rubber sheet. You know the dashboard sticky pads, you can actually put one in there if you want to put your you know, if you have an iPhone or an iPod you want to keep in there, and you know it holds pretty good. You know, it's not coming out. Best thing for it though is like a 2006, 2007. Don't order it. I'll have the part number on the website. I don't sell them because every time I sell a part like that, people just say, can I match someone else's price who's barely making any money? But I'm gonna put the part number on the website. You guys can find them. I'll probably sell it too, but you know, we'll see what happens. Anyway, this is nice. The other pocket is great, and it's factory and it's nice and felt. But I mean, it's a hole in your glove box. And also, don't forget, this goes in a downward slant. So, you know, you can't really keep a lot of stuff in there, maybe like a map or tissues or something. But anyway, just wanted to show you we have options to fill the hole in the glove box. And let's move on with the radio and stuff. All right, guys, so the next part we're going to do, this is an optional part that doesn't come with the kit. We're going to show you the media in, replace it with a USB and auxiliary adapter. It's really nice. So first thing you do is just grab onto here. This was already shared when I got here, I promise you. So we're going to pull up. Just pull up straight from the front. The back hinges, so do not pull from the front. I mean, from the back, only pull from this side. If you look over here, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3 little slots. Just grab the PPT one and jam it in there. Do the same thing at the other one, and it comes right out. Here's where it gets a little complicated. Once you come to get this out, you kind of gotta wiggle it a little bit. Getting this unplugged over here is a little bit of a pain. So what I do is there's a metal tab, which I'll show you in a second. Just make sure you don't scratch anything when you have this out. You have to push in the tab while you push in from the other side. And on the bottom, actually, if you use the panel tool, it's easier. There you go. All right, so push this back in. Once you do this, it's so much easier to do it from here. Because what happens, especially this one, you see how this one has over here, the locking tabs. The locking tabs are all against the side of here, so it's a huge pain. You might be able to get in through here, but I don't like scratching this up. So come over here, you squeeze that, wiggle that out, and then you squeeze this over here, and that comes out. And once you get that out, you can get this out. Now the part that we have replaces the worthless factory MDI that you have right now with a useful USB and auxiliary. Yeah, the USB has to be on the bottom. If you can see, this has the notches, and so does this. All right, so oops, I'm gonna put that back. So we're just gonna put it in there. And then, like I said, USB on the bottom. And pushy. Sorry. Alright, so when you're done, that's what it looks like. Alright. The cables is an easy run, if I remember correctly. Well, no. Oh yeah, okay. So, back right hand corner. It feels like there's a gap. Yeah, my fingers touched. Alright, so back right hand corner, you just feel it out and you'll see your fingers touching. And then, I swear, I haven't done this in at least a month, so I forgot. It's getting late, so usually, you know, when we do a video, we try to tuck these down so they don't, there's harnesses and you can tuck them in between so they're not flopping around, because if you're driving and you hear that flopping, it's going to drive you insane. Alright, so this takes a little, you gotta make, there's 2 grooves on the back, so it kind of got to sit first. It's a little, there you go. Alright, good to know. Good, back to normal. And then if, oh, special, if you guys are doing the Alpine, ILX-1, 2, 3, 4. I think Pioneers are like that too. The fact that it has 4 means it also does video. So you can use it as an audio or video input, and then the USB just plugs into the back of the radio, and you're done. Alright guys, so I'll show you real quick the mounting. These are our brackets. So if you look, they'll be marked left and right. The big square goes to the bottom. There's a big opening over here. So this square goes in there, and then this over here clamps onto here, you'll see. So this goes in here, oops, and then this clamps on there. It doesn't get mounted because when you put the cage in, it pressure fits. All right. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you look at these holes are drilled, are made specifically to hold tabs that will bend on the cage. So we're doing the same here. And also, if you look over here, oops, other side. It's upside down, but there it goes. These brackets, these little knobs you see here, you got them? They actually hold the bracket perfectly in place to give you a perfect flush fit with the kit, okay? So, put this one in here. Okay. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna push those in there. It flexes out a little bit, which is perfect, because the problem is that there's not enough hold. All right. Now this is very important. On this side over here, the bracket actually goes past this plastic. So when you bend the tabs, you have to make sure. See how I just pushed it back, and there's a nice little gap. You have to make sure. Use a screwdriver. You have to make sure that this is flush with the plastic, not with here. Because if you leave it on here and not with the plastic, the radio's not going to fit right. Okay. Now, so I'm just going to give this a quick little tug in there. Tug in there. Now you have to figure out which ones the holes are for, and all you're going to come in here and bend them in. And this one's over here. So you're going to bend the tab towards the front so it locks it in place. Just these tabs alone, I have at least 300 hours in. It was a month worth, and I didn't sleep. See, perfect, locked right into place. That's not going nowhere. Always make sure that you're all the way in and flush, because if you're not flush and there's gaps, it's not going to sit perfect. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna go get the radio and be right back. All right, guys. So I just wanted to. I got the radio, the Alpine ILX 007. Right now, this is the only shallow mount radio that's a double din that's out that I know of. So this kit is, these brackets are designed specifically just for this radio. So I mounted the side brackets on this side. So it's pretty much second from the end and then using the first holes. I'm gonna do it on the other side to show you. Okay. So the way the brackets work is, if you look, this has a hump. Okay. The hump goes towards the outside, and then these brackets have a little locking tab that locks into the cage. So you're going to come over here. Actually, it's probably easier to show you on this side. Yeah, over here. Oh, look at that. See how these have little teeth on them? The little teeth go into the holes. So right now you're on the end. So you're going to go one over. So right now you're going to have the holes one off the end, and then the other one would be 3 off the end. So make sure that that's right on this side. Oh no, you see I'm wrong. There you go. That's one off the end, because there's a little thickness to it. So we're one off the end, and then we're gonna just make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, slide this on here. Make sure we're still one off the end, and we're gonna slide all the way back here to these 2 holes. Okay, right at the end. You thought the hard stuff was over. Now, for this radio, I recommend using the screws that came with the kit. Usually, I recommend using the screws that came with the radio. But for this kit, Pioneer's, our screws don't work. I think they work with Kenwood. Alright, so tighten this a little bit snug. Not too snug, though. The other side's already done. And that's it. So now when you slide this in here, what happens is that this little piece right here grabs onto the cage, and these 2 pieces keep it from sinking further. So make sure it locks. Heard both clicks. It doesn't always click, but it's always nice when it clicks. And then, you know, you slap on the thing. Let me show you the wiring before throw this thing together. Alright guys, now that we're done with the mounting, it's time to wire up the car. Off the top of my head right now, I forget part numbers. It's been a long day. So let's start with the antenna. This is a AAA VW AUD5. This is actually included in the kit, because, I mean, you're going to need it. So this plugs in here. Sometimes, just to let you know, the pink comes up a little. You got to push down just to get it by. Okay, and then that goes in like that. This will plug into the back of the radio, and what this does is sends power through the antenna cables to turn on the boosters in the back. The antenna on your roof is not actually AM/FM; they're in the rear window. All right, so next thing we got is the main wiring harness. So the main wiring harness has all the connections that you have here. All right, except for some of them you're not using. All right, so this is going to plug into here, pushes in, and that's that. Okay, now this goes into the box. Before you plug in the box for this one, you're going to have an SWCL Alp. Currently, this kit only works with Alpine because, like I said, there's no other shallow radios. So we're going to keep it. What I do with that box? Oh, it's in the cup holder. Alright, so this is the box. So this plugs into here, but before we do that, this is an SWCL Alp. So it's a steering control lead. Plug this in first, okay? This is going to plug into the radio. All the dip switches go up, okay? Then after you have that plugged in, you plug this in, and this is the power and everything else coming from the radio. These aren't, oh, actually, yes, the video input. So this is a video input. So the way this works is that it projects all the information from your car into your Alpine radio through the backup camera input, okay? So we're going to do, so this, we're done with this, so we're going to tuck this down here. What I usually do is stick the nose of it under the dash kit. Actually, you know what? Just wedge it. I usually don't install the Alpine. Lately I've been doing the bigger radios with our other dash kit. So that's tucked in there. That's not going anywhere. All right. Now this over here will connect to the dash kit. So we're gonna leave this tucked up here. Okay. Now next thing is a PMP Alp 007. This one we still modify in-house, because we sell maybe like one a week, so it's not worth mass producing. So we don't, you know, we just make it in-house pretty much, instead of having, you know, a couple thousand made at a time. So this goes in here. All right, so this over here is your amplifier on wire. All right, so this radio does not require an amp on. I mean, not the radio, the car. Most Volkswagens don't, so we're not going to worry about that. Reverse over here goes to your purple and white, which is the reverse wire. What this wire does, it tells the car that you're in reverse. Okay. This is a mute. This radio doesn't have a mute, so you're not going to use it. Pink, vehicle speed sense for Pioneer navigation radios. You're not going to use it. And this is your parking brake. Okay. So we're going to hook up the parking brake over here. Okay, so this radio, just so you know, requires up, down, up, for it to work. You can't just plug it in. So I told you about this wire. This is the turn on for the antenna boosters. So what you're going to do, actually, I forgot. Unplug the plug and play. Okay, and then if you look over here, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little notch sticking out. That notch has to face the red wire, and you'll hear it click. Okay, so now plug it in. Okay, so what that does is that takes the antenna turn-on wire from here and does that. This radio doesn't have illumination, so that's it. That's all the connections. Double check. The radio doesn't do Sirius, so no Sirius. We ran a microphone in this car. We didn't videotape it in this car because we've already done a videotape. I think in the Sport Wagon we did it. Check out our Facebook, Instagram. It's not up on YouTube yet, but it will be. The you know, demo video on the Sport Wagon. All right, that's it. I think we're done, right? When it gets towards the end, you get a little like, is that it? All right, so let's get the radio now. So I start with simple with the AM/FM. Oh, you know what I just realized? I left the aux input cable port that goes in here inside. I'll be right back. Alright guys, yeah, this is the cable I forgot, so I guess we can start with that, actually, since it's unplugged. So, the backup camera, reverse camera to radio input, we're just going to wire that into here. Put a little tape around it to make sure it doesn't fall apart. You know, it probably won't, but do you want to rip out the radio because you didn't spend 2 seconds to put tape around it? No. Over here, we have the aux input. Okay, so that's going to go to that. See how that snaps? Don't even bother. Well, let's put tape around it just in case. Extra security. Okay. Alright, so that's good because now we can just plug this in. This has a remote wire. Remote out. That's usually to activate, like, if you have TVs for the kids and stuff. Alright, so let's get the radio now. So we have the antenna. Antenna, make sure it goes all the way in. Actually, our antennas are a little wide to give you a good connection. So that's not all the way in. Hold on. Yeah, no, it's not all the way in. Might have to use a little muscle for it. There you go. Ow. See, that's all the way in. You know what? I got to think about it. Sometimes people say my antennas get horrible reception. It might be because it's not all the way in. Then we're going to wire in the main power plug. Goes in right there. Let's do the aux plug that we were talking about. Now, like I said, we ran a microphone, so we're going to put that mic wire into here. Okay. And there's a remote wire. The remote wire is actually a steering control remote that's in here. That's a little short. Because of this car, we're actually going to redesign the whole thing to be longer. Okay. Don't forget the USB and the remote wire. Both of those are a little tight, so when you shove everything in here. The great thing about this radio is there's so much room. You don't have to worry about room. Alright, so push that in. My advice to you is before you put the dash kit in, that you see, look, USB already fell out, and I didn't even do nothing. Check the USB. I don't like this USB cable they have. Oh, I guess this is our USB cable, but the USB port is just loose, so you got to be very careful it doesn't fall out. So all I'm telling you is to make sure you check the USB as well as the steering wheel controls before you put the whole car back together, because once you put the dash kit in, it's a little harder. Just double check. All right, we're both in. All three are in, and the microphone too, because those are plugins. They're not. All right, so click and click. This goes into the dash kit. Let me go get the dash kit and we'll show you the transfer. Alright guys, so now we're here with the dash kit that goes in here. So what you're going to do now is just the trim you take off the factory unit. It just comes right off. I'm not going to show you because it doesn't matter. Okay. And then the factory air vents clip right into this. It's a little hard to see, but okay. Check out the top. Just look around, make sure everything goes in right. You see this? I don't know if it's hard to see here, but this one didn't go in right, so I'm gonna assist it with a screwdriver. I'm just gonna bend it up so it falls into its place. Well, no. There it goes. Yeah, just make sure, see, like that wasn't in the hole. You just make sure they all go where they belong, because you don't want to have an issue once you put everything back together. Airplane going by. It looks like everything's good. Check those. Alright, so now this loose wire that we left hanging out here goes to here. I don't think you can plug it in backwards, but let me double check. Just in case. No, it only fits one way. But in case there's a manufacturing defect, tab to tab. Okay. Then you're gonna put this over here. Don't forget to where did this come from? This was part of, oh, this is the, actually, I'm just thinking this is what plugged into the factory display. Sometimes when you work on cars you forget, you know, with all the just tuck that back there somewhere where it's not going to make noise. To the side. Right. Good enough for me. Okay, now over here we're going to put this back to this little clip where it was. Okay, and then I'm going to push this, make sure it doesn't get caught in any of the clips. Okay, and while you do that, you're going to have to pull these. You can tell I'm losing energy. I can't even talk anymore. Good thing we're done. All right. I recommend you test fit this. We already test fitted it without the vents. Last thing you want to do is install this and then realize that it doesn't fit right around the trim, and then you're going to take everything out all over again. Okay. So there that goes. Give a couple bang right here. All right, and that's a great little setup. The radio has a little play, so if it's gapped up a little bit too much or somewhere, you can always, like, very little play, see? I'm a perfectionist, so like I said, I got like 300 or 100. I worked a month on these, so it was a long time. And then last but not least, you put in the little trim, which I think is in the back seat, right? Yeah, little trim's in the back seat. Want to hand me that? Thank you, sir. Professional kept it low off the camera. And this goes here. All right, that's it. We're done. We just, oh, no, we're not. goes in right there. That's it. I mean, turn on the car. That's right, you gotta calibrate these. Let me check real quick how to calibrate. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I took the radio apart on to remember that it self-calibrates. And while it's blinking, it's calibrating. Once it's done blinking, it's done and you're good. Alright, so right now, when you turn on this radio, nothing's gonna work and you're gonna freak out. What a piece of crap. I can't believe I bought this. It doesn't work. The problem is that Alpine, by default, has the backup camera turned off, which means that the backup camera input is not working. So we're not getting the video that this is looking for. So you got to go in here, and then you're going to have to set it up. But these are displayed. And then you're going to pull up your e-brake, pull down your e-brake, and you're going to get frustrated and say, what's the matter? The e-brake doesn't work. And then you're going to go. Our parking brake, the way it works, it does vehicle in motion. So what happens is when the car is driving, the parking brake, the radio thinks the parking brake is not on. The minute you stop rolling, it activates the parking brake. So you don't have to pull it up. It's just the parking brake wire is activated when you're not moving. So right now, this Alpine requires you to do parking brake up, parking brake down, parking brake up. So since we haven't moved yet, it doesn't show anything. So watch. I'm going to drive like 5 feet, and then I'm going to stop. See how it all came on? The reason it came on is because Alpine saw parking brake up, parking brake down. So now we're going to go into, I think, application, camera, and you're going to say reverse. Oops, see, it automatically took over. And on this thing, you have to go, the guides to come on, you have to hit guides off. Unless you like looking at little cones while you read. And then this is the menu, and you go up and down. I am not going to get into this. We did a whole video on how this goes, and it's late, I'm hungry, and I'm tired. But anyway, nfitcarstereo.com. We sell and install. We also ship worldwide. If you're a shop, we do wholesale accounts. That's it, nfitcarstereo.com. Thanks for watching. My name is Christian. If you have any questions.